Um, a year of fighting to keep Damian's story in the news. And frankly, a year where two other men lost their lives to law enforcement on mental health crises. John Peña and Nicholas Norris. Rest in power. Today we are demanding that the case moves to a grand jury. We're demanding that the body camera footage be released to the public for transparency. And we are demanding that both the city and the county implement alternative non-police response teams for mental health crises and welfare checks to avoid further tragedy. San Antonio City Council has an opportunity to fund a pilot program for such a team through the use of ARPA funds. Community members, some of those standing behind me, have filled public comment, town halls, even the Public Safety Committee asking for this. In the name of Damian, in the name of John Peña, in the name of Nicholas Norris, and the countless lives lost to police response on these crisis calls. The Washington Post has found that 1 in 4 people killed by police have a mental illness. Mental crisis, behavioral health issues, none of these are a crime. They're a reality and a very real part of our everyday lives, not just for our veterans, but for anyone suffering from grief, from the financial impacts of the pandemic, homelessness, substance abuse, and more. Alternative responder programs already exist across the country, such as the Denver Star program or the Cahoots model. They are proven to not only save lives, but save cities millions of dollars in public safety spending. There is literally nothing that the city or county can lose by implementing such a program, but there is so much to gain. Let us remember that Damian is not the only one that will be missing for so many military families this holiday season. Several city council members have spoken in support of a Denver Star-like model for San Antonio in the past. Today, we are asking that you follow your words with actions in the upcoming ARPA recommendations tomorrow. To our county commissioners, we ask that you follow suit to implement an alternative responder program to run alongside your co-responder team. To DA Joe Gonzalez, it is high time to move this case to grand jury, to release the body camera footage to the public. Do it for Damian, for his family, his loved ones, and this entire community standing behind them. Justice for Damian. Thank you. I will now pass this to Attorney Lee Merritt.
Thank you. And I don't want to disrupt the program. I see Prosecutor Gonzalez is here. I would love for you to join us if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Please, thank you so much. Good to see you, by the way.
It's good to see you, Lee.
If you don't mind standing with Annette here, watching.
Good afternoon. How's
Brendan?
everybody doing?
It's important that we have a prosecutor like Mr. Gonzalez who's willing to stand with the family, who's been willing to meet with the family from day one. But this community, the community of Bexar County, the community of San Antonio needs change. In a lot of ways, Damian Daniels is fighting his last war. His family is a veteran family. Each one of his brothers served in the armed forces during times of combat in this country. They put their life on the line because they believed in certain principles of equality, of citizenship, and of rights that he has been denied in his death, but Damian Daniels continues to fight. Many veterans that I've met through representing this family call what is occurring in San Antonio and across the country, the crisis, a silent war, where veterans suffer mental health trauma serving this country and come back to be targeted by the deadliest police culture in the modern world. We must take affirmative steps to change the culture of policing in America so that we have a nonviolent response to mental health crisis. That's what this community has been standing for. We've seen this model taken on all over the country, and we've seen the positive results from it. My sister quoted some important statistics that I'm going to amplify today. People suffering mental health crisis are 16 times more likely to have deadly force used against them than the average citizen. Governor Greg Abbott in his State of the State declared that in Texas, there's a mental health emergency. But in doing so, he created absolutely no programs providing no additional resources to our mental health communities to actually address the problem. What Damian Daniels' family is calling for, what the organizing community, ACT San Antonio, Amanda, and fighters all across this county are asking for, are practical solutions that can be implemented last year. This is not something that we have to wait on. The release of the video was paramount because the release of the video allows the community an opportunity to identify the officers and participate in the investigation. Obscuring the video and failing to release the video is denying the family justice, it's denying the community their right to transparency. We need an alternative program, and I will emphasize that I do not believe it should be a co-responder program. Less than 1% of co-responder programs actually require law enforcement involvement in the first place. We should be spending our resources and getting as many mental health professionals, paramedics, EMTs out to mental health calls as possible. That's why I've come here to stand with the family of Damian Daniels. We are looking for accountability specifically in his case. But because his family believes in service and believes in service to this country, and Damian Daniels loves San Antonio. He came here, he purchased a home here because he loves San Antonio. And in his death, he continues to fight to make this place safer for our veterans, and we will continue to stand and fight with them. Prosecutor Gonzalez, I would love for you to join me if you have something to say. We'd love to hear from you.
I would. Thank you very much, Mr. Merritt, and welcome back to San Antonio. I agree with everything Mr. Merritt has said. I stand with him. I stand with the family. I absolutely believe that justice is merited in every one of these cases. I will tell you that I say this all the time. Few things have happened in our culture recently that have changed the way that we should do business. One is the insurrection that we saw earlier this year, and the horrible thing that happened in Minnesota to Mr. Floyd. George Floyd should have never, ever been in that situation. DA's offices across the country have to do better. We are doing better. One of the first things we did is to rethink how we review these officer-involved shootings. We created the Civil Rights Division, headed by Mr. Harris, Darrell Harris, who's standing over there, a veteran prosecutor. We are doing different things differently in terms of how we review these cases. And I'll tell you, one of the most compelling arguments I heard on the community is the relationship that DA's offices have with law enforcement, the closeness. Because of that, I have committed to never asking for a penny from law enforcement, from any police unions. I've not asked, nor will I ask for endorsements from any police unions, because I want the families to know that we're going to make these decisions based on the facts of this case, not based on any loyalty or commitment to anyone else. And so we are taking a close look at these cases, and Damian Daniels is one of them. Another thing that we've done differently is we have a team that goes out when we're notified by law enforcement of a situation where there's an officer-involved shooting. Darrell and his investigators go out to the scene and meet with the families as soon as possible so we can establish a relationship with the families sooner, not later. We are doing other things. What I've said along is we will present every case, including this case, to a grand jury. We want the citizens of Bexar County to make the decision. Before I got into office, and keep in mind I've been doing this, well, I've been the elected DA for 3 years. I spent 30 years before that in the criminal practice, and 21 of those years as a defense lawyer. So I certainly saw my share of what Mr. Merritt is talking about on the other side. I am committed to doing the right thing, and this is part of it. I'm here to tell you that, and another thing that I want you all to know, if the family hasn't already told you, we have been in constant communication with the family. As late as last month, Mr. Harris reached out to the family and told them that we intended to take this case to the grand jury by the end of the year. We've had this case about 6 months now, and we're right on schedule. We intend to take this case to the grand jury by the end of the month. We will let the citizens of Bexar County make the decision, and hopefully they're going to do whatever they believe is the right thing to do. That's the way it works. Folks, I know that we've talked about the releasing the body cam footage, but I have a responsibility to the citizens of Bexar County. I have a responsibility to do my job. The worst thing that can happen is that we can compromise a case or worse, jeopardize a case because we taint a jury pool. If we end up where we're going to trial and every one of the potential jurors say, I can't be fair with this case because I've seen that video, we're going to have problems. And so that's the concern that we have. So we have to balance that with the needs of the family. We have met with the family, and so the family knows the particulars of this case. The need of the public is great, and we understand that. But again, as the elected DA, I have to make decisions to balance the needs of the families and the needs of the public with prosecuting these kinds of cases. But I am here to say that I stand with the family, that we're going to do everything we can to do the right thing, and we'll let the grand jury of Bexar County decide if there's enough evidence to move forward. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask Brendan, Ananda, and Manette to come join me for a moment, if you don't mind. And I just wanted this community here. This is Annette Watkins, Brendan Daniels' mom. I'm sorry. Well, it is Brendan Daniels' mom. And Damian Daniels' mom as well. This is Brendan Daniels, his older brother. And we want to open you all ourselves up for questions and comments if there are any comments from media.
How do you feel about the Bexar County commissioners today saying that all video from critical law enforcement encounters should be released in 10 days? During today's commission meeting.
Yeah. First, I want to thank Prosecutor Gonzalez again for establishing regular communications with the family. Oftentimes, we disagree about things, about strategy, including the release of that video. But we understand his perspective. He's been willing to offer it and to enter a discussion about it. We tend to agree with the decision of the council or the commission today that there's no real reason not to release that video within 10 days. And considering it's been well over a year, that video should be released immediately to the public.
County Judge Wolf brought this up personally during the commissioner's hearing today, asking the sheriff why it has not been released. What are your thoughts about the county's top elected official demanding its release?
I think the judge, again, has expressed sentiments consistent with transparency and accountability, consistent with best practices across the country. I don't think there is any substantive reason for failing to release the video. Now, for what it's worth, because we're having this conversation, I just returned from South Georgia. I sat through the process of picking a jury for the trial of the men who murdered Ahmaud Arbery. And every juror in that case had seen the video that went viral in that case, and they developed an opinion about it. And that made it very difficult to pick a jury in Glenn County. So I understand the rationale behind it, but in terms of balancing the benefit versus the consequences, that case wasn't moved out of Glenn County. You know, the murder of JFK wasn't moved out of Dallas County. Moving cases out of a county means more than just seeing the video, and the benefit to the family of having the true narrative after the Bexar County Sheriff's Office released a false narrative in this case. And that's why it's so important to release the video. They released manipulative still images and put out a false narrative about Damian Daniels and what he did on the day that he was killed. The video needs to be released so that the public, because right now the potential jury pool is being tainted by a story that is demonstratively false.
Have you or the family had a chance to review the entire video, uncut, unedited?
I have.
You have? And the family has as well?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
And when was that?
some time ago.
And for the family, what has this past year been like for y'all as you wait for this grand jury process to move forward?
All right, I'm going to allow them to ask the question what the year's been like. I made a mistake in stepping in on Amanda's presser. There's a couple of people that we need to introduce that I've had the chance to meet today, and I'll allow her to introduce them.
I also want to introduce Simone and Robin, who are close family friends. I mean, they are family to the Daniels family. Simone's kids are actually Damian's godchildren. And so they have come here to not only share their story of grief this past year, the struggle for justice, but to support Annette and Brendan as well. So I will hand this over to y'all because I believe the question was for y'all.
And what was the question again?
What has this past year been like for you, waiting for this grand jury process to start?
This past year's been, we can't say it's been the best. We've been waiting on Sheriff Salazar to release the body cam footage. We've been waiting on him to apologize to the family. We've been waiting on him to release the truth. I mean, going to Whataburger and have meet and greets and smiling and everyone's face is all fine and dandy, but when you have an American soldier who was killed on his front doorstep for a mental health crisis, we can't stand for that. Being a military veteran myself, my brother is still serving. He's in Italy right now. Being a military veteran, that's a slap to the face of every military personnel that serves in this country. We have so many friends and family and people who we've deployed with and people we've never met a day in our life who we build relationships and things of that nature. And then come to find out there's a lot of us who are going through a lot. And unfortunately, there are suicides that happen in the military. And it's an invisible war. That's what I've been iterating to Lee Merritt and anyone else that I come across, that this is an invisible war that we're fighting. Mental health has to be fought with compassion. It has to be fought with someone who understands how to treat another human being. We have people that go out and chase lions and tigers and bears, and they use tranquilizers, and they bring them in peacefully. So why can't we bring our own veterans into getting that help that they need peacefully as well? I see a big problem in that. When I was here last night, I came to the airport, and over the airport intercom, it says multiple times that San Antonio is the best place to be, one of the top 5 tourist spots to come to, one of the safest places to be. I will have to say that I am not in agreement with that, with my brother's case. We had the Brigadier General speak on the intercom as well at the San Antonio airport, saying that Joint Base San Antonio is one of the biggest bases that we have. We have not had any support from the military either. So we're fighting this battle on our own home front. And this is a battle that we shouldn't have to fight on our own. We have to have people stand up and speak out on mental health, because it really is a silent war that needs to be fought with the community. And with the community of San Antonio standing here now, and with everyone here showing their support, shows that we do have the ability to come together. But we shouldn't have to come together when there's a tragic event that happens. We should be able to stand together every day.
So could you repeat your name again? I'm sorry.
Brendan Daniels.
And could you spell your first name, sir?
Brendan, Brendan. Would you like to answer the question as well? How it's been for you?
Just trying to be patient, waiting patiently for the truth to be revealed, and it's just been kind of hard, but you just pray to get through it all and wait on just to come. So we're just praying that their house will they soon get it to the grand jury. I hope not the end of the month, but like next week. We're hoping for that soon, because it's long overdue. And my son asked for help. We have veterans that commit suicide, but he asked for help. He asked for help, and that's the only reason we called back, because he asked for help twice. I need help. So this wasn't suicidal. He wasn't suicidal. So when he asked for help, that means he needed help. And he didn't need police officers to come and criminalize him and kill him because they didn't trust him with his own life. You mean you want me to trust you with my life, and you took his life because you didn't trust him with his own life? So, that's just unheard of, and they need to be held accountable. And that's what we're waiting on, for them to be charged for murder, because that's what it was. Because there's no way you stand there and talk to someone 30 minutes, and then you decide you're just gonna disarm them for their safety, but he's dead. So, we're just waiting. Just wait, praying and waiting. Thank you.
Did you have anything you wanted to say?
I don't have the strength that Mom has and my brother has. So I'm gonna try and do this without crying. But the part that they're not saying that should be said, is this year has been miserable. My daughter is standing next to you crying because she doesn't have an uncle anymore to take her trick-or-treating. I couldn't even get my kids to go trick-or-treating because they were hurting so bad. This year has been full of anger because I have been writing newspapers trying to get them to take these images down, this depiction that he was a horrible, aggressive, and angry person. I was blessed to have him for a decade. I was blessed to be able to talk to him at night, cry when I was scared. I was blessed to have him encourage me to fulfill my dreams. I was blessed to have him love my kids as the father figure that's constant. And the way they made him look was so ugly. And the fact that I've had to, and they have had to wait a year for this man, for Sheriff Salazar to do the job that he was appointed to do. I have spent a year trying to ask questions. Why was his life not valuable to you? I've spent a year trying to figure out why this deputy who shot him, who was also a veteran like me, and my mother, and my brother, why did you not see it? Why is it not clear to you? It's not like this is new to you. You've been there, you've done that, you talked to him. He didn't come for you. He asked you to help him. And instead of valuing him the way we do, because see, at the end of the day, you get to go home and spend Christmas and Thanksgiving and a birthday and Easter, and we have to call each other and console each other. I have kids that I have to rock to sleep and try and explain why somebody decided that their uncle's life was not worth just basic human decency. Just a moment. Just a moment. Like Mama said, you stood there for 30 minutes. You knew that he was no threat to you, and yet you still chose to take him. But you get to go home to your kids and your family, and you get to celebrate. I've spent a year hating San Antonio. I've spent a year hating Sheriff Salazar. I was never raised with hate in my heart. I've spent a year waiting for the moment that they bring this to the grand jury, because he deserved that and so much more. You all want to know who Damian was? Damian was the most forgiving and kind person you've ever met. He was the funniest person you could ever possibly talk to. When I felt like I couldn't make it in school, Damian would encourage me. I'd wake up to a text message, hey sis, you got it. Come on, get to class, do your homework. Damian, when my kids would cry because their father didn't want to be there, Damian would come and hold them. Damian would do homework with them. Damian would do face paint. Damian went to PTA. Damian coached football. Damian held my hand. When me and Damian would lose somebody, we held each other. Damian was the most loyal, devoted, kind, caring, sincere, genuine person you could have met. And what I think y'all should know is it's not just what happens in the past year. It's the fact that San Antonio and Texas and Washington and Georgia and DC and Virginia has lost an angel. Damian, it just wasn't San Antonio. Damian touched people that we served with. We were in Junction City, Kansas together. We've been to Florida, Alabama, Mississippi. It wasn't just these places. Sheriff Salazar doesn't seem to understand that when he allowed his deputy to make the decision to take him from us, you took him from everybody else. Everybody else that he was loyal to. Everybody else that he cared for. Everybody else that he would give the shirt off his back for. You took him from more than just us. We deserve for you to do your job and tell the truth. Stop making my brother seem like he was somebody that he's not. Tell the correct narrative. Tell who he was. Tell how he would walk up to somebody on the street and give them every dollar out his wallet with no care or thought or concern for himself. Tell how when somebody tried to break in my house, Damian went home and came to me and spent the night to make sure me and my children were safe. tell the loving narrative that is actually him, and stop depicting him as a veteran who just couldn't make it. I'm a veteran with PTSD. And when I call for help, I expect to be helped. I don't want my children worried that somebody is going to come to my house and shoot me in front of them. The past year, realistically, it's been the inability to even get off on the Shanefield exit because I can't. Because I go into palpitations. I have to call Mama Annette. I can't stop crying. The past year, San Antonio, Bexar County, and Sheriff Salazar has made my life a living hell, has made their lives a living hell, and it is unfair. So I just want to say to you, Sheriff Salazar, if you are paying attention, when you go home tonight and you eat dinner with your family while we're over here crying and trying to figure out how to get through this, I hope it was worth it. I hope that you feel like it was worth it. I hope on December 25th, when your family, your kids, your grandkids, whomever gets to open their present, I hope you remember my children and the fact that they won't get to, or that his mother, father, and brother won't get to either. That we don't get to get the hug and the I love you. That we don't get that text message with the funny faced emojis that he likes to send. He loves the emojis. We don't get that. You do. When do you value him? When do you stop being insane? Because the definition of insanity is repeating the same stupid actions and expecting a different outcome. You keep doing what you're doing, hoping for the best while everybody else suffers. But I guess that seems fair. My year is going forward and loving them. And that's it.
I won't be before you but a minute. I just want to say to everyone, my demons of PTSD are tamped down by my faith in God. If he were not with me always, I would have to call a sheriff sometimes. And I would hope that he would do unto others as he would have them do unto him or his family. If you would not have your family shot down like a dog in the street, then don't allow the people who are supposed to help us to do that. All things that are done in darkness, the word says, shall come to light. Just show the light is all anyone's asking. Show it with compassion. We serve like you serve. You serve every day. We serve. You carry battle scars and pain from your jobs. We know you do. We know what you see. If we can't let our battle scars cause us to harm others, you shouldn't be allowed to allow your battle scars to harm us. We are all in service together. And if we don't do it in the same love, we're all in trouble. It's one here, one there, here and there. But eventually it will be us all if we don't do it in love together.
Thank you guys so much for being here. I know this is very, very difficult and hard, but the incredible bravery and perseverance that y'all are showing is appreciated. And just know that you have 100 times the community behind you than who's here today. We're going to wrap this up. I want to thank you so much for being here. I do want to take a moment. District Attorney, you said that this case will be moving to grand jury at the end of the month. We are holding you to this. You will be held accountable, so we will be looking for that notice. I appreciate you so much. We will continue to fight for justice for Damian, as well as the many other countless lives lost to police brutality here in Bexar County and across San Antonio. We are going to continue pushing for policies regarding justice, accountability, compassion, transparency, because these are real lives. These are real families here that are suffering at the hands of police misconduct, of police brutality. So thank you so much. I'm just gonna chant one time, justice for Damian! Justice for Damian! Justice for Damian! Justice for Damian!
Justice for Damian!
May he rest in power. Thank you, guys.
Hi, I'm gonna ask you to spell your name as well.
Annette, Annette Watkins, Watkins.
And you're his mother?
Yes.
Excuse me. Excuse me. Can I get you to say and spell your name as well?
Simone, Simone, Coleman, Coleme.
And you were his sister.
Mm.